Okay, in this section we're going to be talking about MIDI mapping or key mapping. It's essentially the same thing. It's just an extension arm of Ableton to control it from an external device. So for example, our drummers use the Elisa's pad. There's about 8 pads that are on there that we can connect to Ableton to control song selection or whether we want the click to come in or out or whether we want the stop to happen. This is how we would do it. There's 2 different ways you can do it. One is by the key option and one is by the MIDI option. The key option is basically referring to your keyboard on your computer. The MIDI option is anything that you would plug into it USB. You can do this from like a digital keyboard, from a beat pad, or anything along those lines that would have those particular triggers. You can plug this in here and do the same thing. I'm going to start with a key because what I want to do is I want to say, hey, I'd like Who Is Like the Lord to play when I press button number 1. I'd like Almighty God to play when I press button number 2. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to select key here. And then you'll notice that everything that turns into orange is actually something that I can attribute to something on the keyboard. So the only actionable areas that I really need right now are right here. So I want to tell it when I'm ready to play it that I want Who Is Like the Lord to play when I press keypad number 1. So what I want to do is hit this orange trigger right here, the play button, and then assign it to key number 1. I'm pressing key number 1. You'll notice that it has a gray box here and it shows you the key mapping over here on the left. It's telling me that keypad number 1 is assigned to the master playlist here, and then it's playing C number 1, which is Who Is Like the Lord. Now I will do the same thing with Almighty God. Basically press play, click on the play button here, and then hit number 2. You'll notice that it says key number 2, master scene 2, all set. The only other 2 things that you're going to want to add to this would be the click mute and the stop all. Click mute in case maybe you get off the click or maybe they just need to do a slight retard at the end of a song. This allows the drummer the option to kill the click, but allows the tracks or the pads to continue underneath it. So we want to assign that, so we'll click on the metronome area and then let's just go ahead and assign that to number 3. Looks like it took. And then we want to stop all tracks with number 4. So now I'm ready to go, but the key thing to remember is you have to turn this off in order for the Ableton tracks to be fired again. Because if I have the key left open, and I've done this before, please don't do this, no matter what key you press, nothing is going to fire any tracks because right now it's in an edit and you need to take that off in order for it to be able to play. So right now we should be good to go. And if I press number 1, Who Is Like the Lord should play.
1.
There we go.
2.
And if I press number 2, Almighty God should go.
3. 4.
And then if I press number 3, that should turn the click off. And turn it back on. And then if I want to stop all tracks, I'll use number 4. And that just stops everything for you. So that's basically the key setup. And those are the only real options that you would need. Of course, if you had other songs, you would just assign them accordingly as you go down here. And this is limitless. You can do as many tracks as you want to. I'm just showing you in short fashion right now. It's the same it's the same function when you go to MIDI. Basically, instead of orange, you have blue, and then you would do the same exact thing. Now, I don't have a MIDI pad selected right now for this computer, but you would just press play, and then you would either have the drummer or yourself would hit the pad that you want in order to fire this particular song. Same thing with Almighty God, and then so on and so forth with the click and with the stop button. You would just hit the play button first or hit the assignable option that you want first, and then hit the pad in order to assign it to it. So just like you would see on the key side, you should see a gray box in the MIDI areas as well. If you do not see a gray box or you don't see it start populating those controls over here, it means it's either not communicating with it or something is not connected. But you want to double check your connections on that and make sure that it works. Other than that, that's all there is to it. Just remember this is for the keyboard area and you can assign it accordingly. Same thing with the MIDI area. And then basically as soon as you assign them up, they should be fired up and ready to go.